What are you seeking? That's what Jesus said to him. And they said to him, Rabbi. In other words, see, they knew Jesus was a good teacher. But they were beginning to follow into something beyond teaching. Now hear me carefully, because we are entering a season where the teacher mantle will not be what leads us into the fullness of this next season. So we're going to have to hear differently and see differently than we did in the last season. And they said to him, where are you staying? And he said to them, well, then just come and see. In other words, it was this simple. If you could voice what you were seeking, you could come and see. Everyone say see. You could come and see the new that was ahead. In other words, if you really want to leave this wineskin and move in this wineskin, come and see. Because things are changing. And see, wineskin doesn't have to do with just leaving all the old, because Jesus loved the old. He connected with the old. But he started moving into the new. So see, what happens at that point is a new message starts forming. A new method starts forming. A new manifestation starts forming. All of a sudden, just because you're willing to come and see, he can move you into a demonstration that you've never experienced before. He can move you into a level of manifestation that you've never known before. And so, remember what he did. Andrew went and got Peter, and when he brought Peter to Jesus, he said, Peter, we have found the Messiah. See, Andrew immediately began to recognize, and he brought Peter to him. And when Jesus looked at him, verse 42, he said, you are Simon, son of Jonah, but you shall be called Cephas. This is who you are today. This is who you'll be as you move into the next season. Look at somebody and say, your identity's already changing. Now hear what I'm saying to you. This is a picture of where we all are right now. We are moving from one identity, and we're being prophesied to. Now hear me carefully. We're being prophesied to of what our identity will be. You will not look the same or be the same as you were in the last season. Now, the next 3 years, Peter just stayed in the mess all the time, but he was no longer the same as when Jesus first saw him, because Jesus had already prophesied who he would be. And remember, Jesus never did go back out once he left the wilderness after those 40 days and people started following him. He didn't go that route. He went into the cities. He went into the structures. He met people where they were, where in John's wineskin, they had to come out. See? Now hear me carefully. The Lord is going to start manifesting where we are. That is what will make this season so peculiar, because the power of God is going to manifest so where you are that people are going to recognize that wait a minute, something is going on. The flight attendant flying out here today, I began to ask me what I did, and I told her what I do, and I began to share about how I serve the Lord and what goes on. Before long, a guy had gotten up and gone up front. She began to tell him. He came back and he said, we're going to be in Rome in June. I want to contact you about speaking. I speak to some of the largest business groups there are. See, all of a sudden, your identity of who you are in this season is connecting in a whole new way. Now hear me. And here's the thing. You've got to expect that. Now I could go through what Jesus did for those 3 years to produce the new, but turn with me to Luke 24. Because, let me go back to my original question. Behold, I do a new thing. Do you not perceive it? Behold, I do a new thing. Do you not perceive it? Will the captivity from your last season keep you from seeing the freedom of your identity in the next season? Will your loss from the last season keep you from seeing how you're going to move in the next season? And we all experience loss in the last season. Some of us greater than others. That has nothing to do with it being a new season. That was a season that was the most wonderful. In that season, things didn't particularly work out the way you thought they would work out. But now that you're in a new season, how will you move with that and take that experience into this new season to see in a whole new way? See, that's very, very important. Now look here in Luke 24. Jesus has been crucified. And you know the whole story of this. He prophesied he would be crucified. He was crucified. He rose from the dead. Some of the women had already seen him. And then things began to turn upside down. Now notice what I'm saying to you. Now all of a sudden, what Jesus was doing for 3 years in one wineskin is now shifting into another wineskin. This is what I want you to be sure you understand. The spiritual structure and atmosphere around you is changing. It is not the same as it was in the last season. It doesn't matter how good it was or how hard it was. It is now changing. And in the midst of it, you're going to have to determine, and this is why this is so important, the seer gift is so important, how will you see into the new season? Because if you keep looking in this season, you're going to miss all that's in this season. So, we've learned something so far. We've learned the Lord just said, come and see. Well, where are you going? Well, come and see. Follow me. Move with me. Notice what happens here. Now, here he has been crucified. He's died. He's been raised from the dead, even though people can't see. Disciples going on the road to Emmaus. This was 7 miles from Jerusalem. In other words, they were out of town, moving forward, and they were talking together of all these things which had happened. So it was while they conversed and reasoned with Jesus himself, drew near and went with them. In other words, Jesus was moving right along in the new season with them, even though they were in crisis from the old season.